Hey guys, the Explorer 4 here. Welcome back to some more reviews. And today we're talking about Insidious, The Red Door. Now, this film came out this year. Obviously, it's the newest Insidious movie. It gets a 6.0 on IMDb, just really low. I'm going to say that real quick. 6 out of 10 is really low on IMDb for this film. Written by Patrick Wilson. Yes, Patrick Wilson, one of the leads of the film. And is the fifth film in the Insidious franchise. Now, Insidious, I love the first movie. I know a lot of people, they overlook it to say that The Conjuring is a much better film. In my opinion, Insidious is a lot better than The Conjuring. Although I do love the second film. The Conjuring 2, I think, is a great sequel. The first one, I think, is just okay. I'm not as big of a fan as most people are with that one. Don't hate it. The Conjuring 2 I'd prefer way more. I do like The Conjuring 2 a lot. But Insidious The Red Door, this is a film that follows the first two movies. 3 and 4 I think were more prequels. I haven't seen the sequels. I haven't seen parts 2, 3, or 4. So I'm a bit lost with that. I don't know if 3 and 4 really follow this movie or the first movie at all. But yeah, the first movie ended up making it on my 50 greatest horror films list. So I'm a big fan of the first Insidious. And I must say, Insidious The Red Door, taking place after the second one. And of course, I know about the story of the second one, at least bits and pieces. So I was able to kind of keep up with this one. But Patrick Wilson and his son Dalton end up getting their memories just shut away to where they can't remember anything from that time. And in this movie, it's years later. Dalton has grown up. He's going to college, and he's going to art school. And while he's there, he ends up unlocking these memories of the Red Door and this demon, and things start happening again. He realizes he can astro project, and things start, happening, some creepy things. Meanwhile, Patrick Wilson is also seeing strange things and having jump scares happen to him. And they both got to work together to figure out how to get the Red Door closed again. And I thought this was actually a fairly good, fairly decent sequel. Again, I haven't seen the other sequels, so maybe that's why. But I know this movie's getting a lot of hate right now. I know a lot of people are saying it's disappointing. They don't really enjoy it. I don't think it's that bad. I think it's a fairly good movie. I can't say it's a flawless movie, but I didn't go into it expecting a flawless movie. I think it works as an Insidious movie. I think it works as a sequel to the Insidious franchise. And I think it could have been much worse. It could have been more generic. It could have been more lame and lazy. And we, today, in this day of age, we have so many ghost, demon, paranormal films. And honestly, that's the biggest reason why I kind of got away from Insidious. Because when Insidious came out, it was a very unique time. Because that and Paranormal Activity hit at the same time. And those movies, whether we want to say it's all because of The Conjuring, I think it stems from Insidious and Paranormal Activity. Those were the two movies that were huge smash hits and ended up just creating this wave of supernatural, demonic, paranormal possession horror that we still get to this day from Blumhouse and other studios. And when Insidious came out, I loved that film even to this day. I think it's a great horror film. It's one of the better horror films from the 2010s. A lot of movies started copying that formula. And so I got away from this franchise. I got away from the Conjuring series. I got away from Paranormal Activity. And it wasn't that I hated those movies. It was just that it was so rampant. And there were so many of these movies being made, whether it was Ouija or The Forest or just these other awful, in my opinion, just if they're not awful, they're just forgettable or barely watchable or just okay. A lot of those movies that came out after, they never were, or at least most of them weren't these amazing films or these great films. Most of them were just okay or eh. But watching this movie, and that's the thing, that's why I wanted to point that out, is because with the genre, the subgenre that we're dealing with here, I'm not the biggest fan of it. I think it has its best moments. I think it has moments where it's like Conjuring 2, really enjoy that one. Paranormal Activity 1, I really enjoy that one. Insidious 1, I really enjoy that one. But Conjuring's decent, Ouija I wasn't a fan of. I can't even really think of all of them right now. There's so many of them. There's one called Oculus. I think Oculus is a great one. Deliver Us from Evil, that's a pretty good one. So there have been good ones. It's not like they're all bad. But I feel like here, it's a pretty decent sequel. It's a lot different. It's more slower paced than the first one. It's more of them trying to figure things out again, but doing it in a more creative way. I like the fact that Dalton, he draws these pictures, and with him drawing, he's sort of unlocking more and more memories. And as he unlocks more and more memories, he begins to see, it just gets darker and darker as the movie goes along. I like that. But Patrick Wilson directing, I think he did a great job directing this movie. And I'm not too sure if he's made any other films as far as directing goes. But this movie has a look to it. It has a good look to it. It's very well filmed. The jump scares are pulled off for the most part. There are a couple that were duds that didn't really scare me. But I think for the most part, the jump scares are pretty well done. I enjoyed the score. I enjoyed the cinematography. I thought it was cool having Dalton as the lead character. Ty Simpkins. They got Ty Simpkins back. The entire cast from the first two movies came back to do this movie. I like some new additions, like Sinclair Daniel as Chris Winslow. I like her character a lot. Good new character. And I think Patrick Wilson did a pretty good job acting in this movie as well as directing. He did a good job acting. Of course, you got Lee Winnell coming back to write this film. And yeah, I really do think it's a good sequel. I think the story is unique. It's a very interesting new way to tell the story of Insidious, of it being more about unlocking memories. Now, granted, maybe this third and fourth one was about that. I don't know. But the idea that as they're going along with this movie, more and more things start happening. And it kind of connects to Chapter 2 a little bit. So if you're a big fan of Chapter 2, it connects to that movie in some ways. But yeah, it's fast-paced. It's an hour and 47 minutes, but it goes by very, very fast. It's not boring at all. There's certain key scenes that I really enjoyed, whether it was when Patrick Wilson's getting this CAT scan, and while he's in there, it just turns into darkness. And the suspense build. I like the slow building suspense in this movie, too. They brung that back of the Insidious. Just that slow build to a jump scare, which makes it effective. But while he's in there, he's seeing creepy things. Dalton is, seeing weird stuff as well. He's seeing dead people. But he, astro projects again and figures out that he can do this. And I don't know, it's fairly decent. It's good. It's not a masterpiece, not something that I think is groundbreaking. But I think as a sequel, as a follow-up to the other movies, and yeah, I haven't seen the other sequels, but it does follow the first two pretty closely, and I know the first two, well enough to understand what's going on in this film. I don't understand why it's been getting so much hate. It's, the Red Demon comes back. The idea of them trying to shut this door permanently and try to move on from this. Yeah, overall, I think it's a fairly good sequel. I think if you're an Insidious fan, you'll enjoy it. And in an era of really generic paranormal ghost possession movies, this one I think stands out at least a little bit. Maybe not totally. It's not reinventing the wheel, but it's at the same time not terrible. But yeah, Insidious, The Red Door, I'm going to give it a 4. 4 out of 5. I really enjoyed it. It was a fun, decent watch, and yeah, I thought it was fairly good. But if you guys have seen it, comment below your guys' thoughts. I want to hear what you guys think about this film. If you haven't seen it, check it out. If you're an Insidious fan, check it out. I think it's pretty good. But anyways, it's going to do it for this review. Thank you guys so much for watching. Take care, and the Explorer 4 is out. See you guys later. Peace.